4 kilometers beneath the surface of the North Atlantic Ocean lies a lightless, freezing void. It is a completely hostile environment where the remains of the Titanic have rested in absolute darkness for over a century. This illustrates the physical reality at that depth. The water exerts 5,800 pounds of pressure per square inch. To put that into perspective, it's the equivalent of balancing a fully grown elephant's entire weight onto a postage stamp. On Sunday, June 18, 2023, the Titan submarine began a planned 7-hour round trip to visit the famous shipwreck, descending straight into that crushing environment. 5 people were sealed inside for the journey. The crew included billionaires, experienced Titanic researchers, and Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, the company that built the sub. A normal descent to the ocean floor takes roughly 2 hours. But 1 hour and 45 minutes into the dive, the crew aboard the mothership, the Polar Prince, lost all communication and tracking data from the Titan. Over the next few days, a massive multinational search operation swept the area. Rescue teams from the US, Canada, and France scoured the vast ocean, driven by a brutal ticking clock. The Titan submarine only carried a 96-hour supply of oxygen. On Thursday, June 22nd, a remote-operated vehicle finally reached the dark seafloor. Just 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic, it found torn pieces of white material bearing the OceanGate logo. The submarine had ceased to exist in an instant. This discovery shifted the investigation from a desperate search for survivors to an autopsy of a catastrophic engineering failure. When we think of a violent blast, we usually picture an explosion, energy pushing aggressively outward. An implosion is the exact opposite. It is the immediate, violent collapse of an object inward when external pressure overcomes the internal structure. This comparative timeline shows the sheer speed of the event. The structural failure of the Titan occurred in roughly 0.3 milliseconds. For context, it takes the human nervous system between 100 and 150 milliseconds to even register pain. The crew never knew what happened. Yet vessels dive to these depths regularly without collapsing. The core mystery was how a submarine built for deep ocean tourism could succumb to the very forces it was meant to resist. Standard deep-sea engineering dictates that pressure hulls be constructed from uniform, incredibly dense metals. Materials like solid steel or titanium compress evenly under thousands of pounds of pressure, keeping the crew safe inside. Stockton Rush intentionally abandoned these proven rules. To cut manufacturing costs and market his company as an innovative disruptor, he replaced the solid metal hull with experimental aviation-grade carbon fiber. The Titan's destruction followed a years-long trail of severe internal and external red flags, the end result of a compromised design. As early as 2018, an OceanGate executive raised serious internal alarms, specifically citing deep concerns regarding the safety of a carbon fiber hull subjected to repeated deep-sea pressure cycles. A year later, a businessman named Carl Stanley took a test dive in the Titan. On the way down, he distinctly heard loud, unsettling cracking sounds echoing through the submarine's body. Look closely at this cross-section of a carbon fiber matrix. Those cracking sounds were a mechanical reality. Under immense ocean pressure, individual strands within the woven carbon fiber were literally snapping under the strain, creating microscopic tears inside the whole structure. By 2021, Stockton Rush was publicly admitting that he knew he was breaking standard engineering rules, prioritizing disruption over established safety protocols. All the while, those microscopic fractures in the hull were slowly multiplying with every subsequent dive. The fact that the Titan survived its earlier dives to the Titanic did not prove it was safe. Instead, every single trip to the ocean floor was quietly degrading the structural integrity of the carbon fiber, turning the submarine into a ticking time bomb. On the morning of June 18th, that accumulated structural fatigue finally ran its course. The damaged carbon fiber reached its absolute limit. The 5,800 psi of water pressure instantly exploited the microscopic weaknesses woven into the experimental hull, collapsing the vessel in a fraction of a millisecond. This image of workers standing beside the recovered, tarp-covered debris on a flatbed truck underscores the finality of that moment. OceanGate applied the Silicon Valley philosophy of move fast and break things to an environment that strictly punishes mistakes. The ocean does not compromise, and it does not care about corporate disruption. Pushing the boundaries of exploration demands a respect for the environments we enter. Marketing, willpower, and the desire to cut costs can never bypass the immutable laws of physics.